Join us for a driving review of the all-new Ford Mustang Mach-E. Let's go! In the front you can see the Mustang jeans, so the sporty styling with the closed grille in this case, because it's an EV, but strong accentuations on the hood. Headlamps standard with adaptive LED, and you can see a very interesting daytime running light signature. The length is at 4.71 m, 15'5" or 185 inches, and wheels come from 18 to 20 inch. These here are the 19-inch wheels, in between maybe good compromise. Crossover styling here with the black piano lacquer and the red color for today. And here the falling roofline, sporty strong shoulders right there, but indeed a crossover styling, so not SUV but also nothing too low sitting. Again, something in between. Why not? Then the base model start with rear-wheel drive only. Already a sporty touch, of course. And then you can also get an all-wheel drive model. That means one electric motor in the rear, one electric motor in the front. That's also what we have here. And you can get two different battery sizes, either 68 kilowatt hours net or 88 kilowatt hours net. So that's the real usable size. And you can also combine them in whatever way possible. So you can go rear-wheel drive, small battery, rear-wheel drive, big battery, or all-wheel drive, small battery, and all-wheel drive, big battery, so all is possible. Which one would you go for? Of course, also always a matter of pricing. The range of the big battery, by the way, in good conditions, 450 kilometers plus or 300 miles plus. The smaller battery then with a little bit of less range, and then it depends on, do you floor it out on the motorway, and what's the temperature outside, of course. Here the rear design with this claw design, vertical, like we know from the old Mustangs as well, really spectacular. And then you can see here this lip that is forming, and contrasting black in the lower area. AWD logo then here for the dual motor setup. The top speed, by the way, is 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles per hour. Only if you have the GT model. Then you have 200 kilometers per hour or 125 miles per hour. Yeah, and talking about GT model and acceleration figures and so on, the normal rear-wheel drive model starts around 7 seconds in the acceleration figure, the all-wheel drive model around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, just the GT model then less than 4 seconds, of course then the quickest one. Recharging, here at the driver's sides only, AC 11 kilowatts, DC 115 kilowatt for the small battery or 150 kilowatt for the big battery. You have two seatings available, either the whole slick surface, or then here the optional is like a premium package, optional with perforation, that's more breathable then. And both are again animal free and high grade leatherette, so it really feels super premium, very soft. The seating position is indeed crossover alike. It doesn't feel like a high SUV, but it doesn't feel like a sedan. Indeed, something in between. And again, the cool thing I immediately realized is that the seats are really very soft and plush. Headroom with 1.86 m or 6'1", still something left. And here, this is the panoramic roof. It is a fixed one, you cannot open it. Interior overview, once again, really cool with the fabric inserts here and the B&O sound system. Then this is more carbon fiber style, so to speak. Contrast stitches, and then this vertical huge screen, 15.5 inch. The instruments here with an easy layout, the digital speed, then GPS information. So it's actually simple but straightforward once again. So, and then here, the GPS map, really responsive, and again, really clear display. I really like that. Then you have some, like an app view here in the lower area. And this is the only physical thing, like attached on the screen for the volume. And I think that's really good because in some, situations, you just want to turn up and down the volume manually, so to speak. And I think that's really cool to have that still. Climate control right here. Not physical, but still at least somewhat easily accessible. So that works. And seat heating and steering wheel heating is in the lower area. This is maybe a little bit complicated to control than here in this lower area. The seat, as I would be driving, means you can easily house 4 tall adults in this vehicle. Maybe 5, we'll soon find out. Here, still some legroom left. You sit relatively high, so it will be quite cool for kids as well. Since we have this fixed panoramic roof, there's also still space above my head. And also the middle seat can be occupied quite well, headroom and legroom wise, just a little bit harder than at the back. But you can also, again, drive it with 5 tall adults then. 29 up to 60 cubic feet or 400 liters up to 1,400 liters. We fold the seats and we have a frunk, 5 cubic feet or 80 liters. And you can have this split here in the front. That's, of course, a little bit plastic-ishy, but yeah, I probably would not go with that, but just have an open area. So let's do the acceleration here in the untamed mode. 100. And top speed 180. And we directly have a slalom mode here for us. Steering is really direct, but doesn't convey such a good feeling. But the suspension is actually quite sporty, so it is fun to steer it around. Missing a little bit of the steering feeling is a little bit, not connected to the road, but definitely a lot of driving fun and super direct, the vehicle. And now welcome to the usual Thomas's driving lounge here. Electric driving lounge with the Ford Mustang Mach-E. And we start on the German motorway right here. What about the noise insulation? We are inching towards 120 kilometers an hour, so yeah, something 70 miles per hour. And noise insulation is not that bad, but also not superb. We've had other EV competitors that are a little bit better as for noise insulation. Here it's comparable to the noise level of the Teslas we've driven. You have this upright seating position, you have a good overview of the road and so on. So indeed, I more and more get rather SUV than a crossover feeling. As for the energy economy, so again, it really depends on the outside temperature and how much you floor it down and so on. But here on our trip so far, when we are at reasonable motorway speeds, we are in a higher 20 kilowatt hours in 1 kilometer regions, so that's done at the moment like 25 kilowatt hours, 1 kilometer, something like that. That's then something like 35 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. This would rather come close than to a 400 kilometers of range or 250 miles of range. The suspension we have here is normal steel suspension, but so far it does a good job. It's a good compromise between sportiness and comfort. Only the GT model will get an adaptive suspension, so-called magnet ride or magni ride, which then adapts to the, to the surface a little bit more and also to the driving modes you pick. Unlimited speed here, and we are at 100 kilometers an hour, and we can accelerate it out. Let's go. Well, that's 150 kilometers an hour. Really quick also in the acceleration, even though we were already at speed. Changing the driving modes while driving, here you press this vehicle button. A little bit distracting to do that while driving, definitely. But here and then the driving modes, active, whisper, untamed. Let's go to the untamed mode and see if there's any difference. Also sound-wise, there's a little difference. And 150. So the throttle input was a little bit quicker then, and you also heard this electric sound, you know, this sound generator then. I'm in the one pedal driving mode. So when I go off the throttle, we have immediately a strong deceleration. Usually I do not need the brakes at all than the normal brakes. And you can have different steps. You can, when you deactivate this mode and you lift the throttle, you just roll, especially in the normal driving modes. That way, car is rolling. Then you have here this L mode, like a low gear, you know, from combustion engines. Then there's stronger recuperation. And even stronger than in the one pedal mode. And then when you're in the one pedal driving mode, then the L setting also, you know, you can just ignore it basically. If you have the all-wheel drive model like we have here with the 2 electric motors, you still have a rear wheel bias. So the predominant motor the car is using is the rear motor. And when you really accelerate it out, then also more power from the front electric motor is being demanded. Very interesting vehicle, no doubt. Pricing then, both in Germany and for example also in the US, starts below 50,000 euros or dollars. And when you put everything in it, you still stay below 70,000 euros or dollars. So not cheap overall, but considering the competition, it's actually an interesting offer. Of course, you should compare the competitors. We will link the videos in the video description. Really hope you enjoyed our episode for today. Please subscribe to us if you haven't done so far and leave us your comments to the new Ford Mustang Mach-E. See you next time.